Hey guys, Igor asked me to help him film with his contest prep, so I thought we would just check in on him and see how his first day is going. Hey babe, what are you doing? What the hell is this? What is this? Oh Jesus. Oh my.
November 9th, 2019. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your boy, VitruvianPhysique. Thank you for stopping by. And yeah, I'm not gonna beat around the bush. You've seen the title. Today we are starting the competition prep. A lot of people have been asking me, all right, Igor, we know you took 2018 off from competing, which is the first time I did that in I did 5 competitions in pretty much 4 years. But that all ends now because today, guys, today's actually August 9th when I'm filming this video. Today is actually coincidentally exactly 90 days out from this November 9th competition that I'm planning on doing. It's actually right here in Toronto, Ontario. It's in my home city. And as you can, usually with my videos, I always get these comments after people watch my videos, and it's kind of like, whoa, man, how much caffeine or straight up cocaine did you take, before filming this? Because it's a lot of that. But today with a kind of interesting or exciting topic, it's like, yeah, it's exciting. So yeah, guys, 90 days, just over 12 weeks, November 9th is the official competition day. Hadouken! No, easy there. We're not done yet. As you can tell by the length of this video, is it down here? Is it down here? I forget where it is. There are a few more things I want to talk about in this video because, guys, to be honest, in previous years, ever since essentially 2015, not 2014, 2014, that was my first competition, and to put it nicely, didn't know what the fuck I was doing. To be blunt and try to be as impartial as possible, I think that even though I have competed multiple times since then, 2015 was probably one of my best physiques I ever brought to the stage or to a channel or to just I've ever had in my life. I wasn't the biggest that I've ever been. The morning weigh-in was under 170 pounds, and I haven't been in the 160s since I was like 17 or something. It's been like a decade, so that was a big deal. I think that physique was probably like either the leanest or like second leanest that I have ever been in my entire life. So ever since then, I kind of just did the exact same strategy year to year. I would just be like, all right, time to just do what I did last year. Let's start this up again. I never really took a step back and thought, do I want to do things a little differently? This time around, there are a few things that I want to do differently, and I want to talk about them in this video. Oh, and also the last thing I want to mention before we jump into all this good stuff, all the topics I'm going to be discussing in the video today, I'm actually going to leave timestamps in the video description box below. So if you guys want to jump around and maybe there's like certain topics which interest you more than others, feel free to get in there, take a look, and just, see what tickles your fancy. Who the fuck are you? Are you 80 years old? Who says that? Okay, whatever, just start the video. First things first, before we can talk about all these new, cool, and exciting strategies for how I'm going to lose weight, how I'm going to reduce body fat, I first need to determine, okay, but how much body fat do you need to lose? We need to establish a starting point, and what better way than a brand new physique update. This is footage from yesterday. This is me weighing around, I'm bouncing between 190 to 192, kind of like fluctuating out there, around there. Now, one thing you guys are gonna notice right off the bat, or at least hopefully notice, is that this is actually considerably leaner than the last physique update I did back in June, when I was like around 204. So give or take around 10, 12-ish pounds of weight loss. So think of that as like kind of like the preliminary, just fine tuning and polishing my physique into a point where it is ready to actually start doing the hard shit. And this honestly was this is one of the reasons why I didn't start my competition prep earlier and like filming it for you guys, because this was easy as shit. I didn't even want to film it because it'd be like, I'm not really doing much and the weight's just falling off. For me, like 200 plus is so heavy, my body hates being there so much that weight just starts falling off. I don't even have to do that much. I need to try to like not eat like absolute shit And also it's summer, so I'm doing a little bit more activity outside. I'm jogging, I'm rock climbing, I'm doing all these things. Weight just started falling off without me really actively doing that much. I don't even consider that a competition prep. I just consider that like, hey, quit being a fat piece of shit. Now this is where it kind of starts to slow down. This is where it starts to get like, okay, you know, it's not just gonna subconsciously just naturally happen without you even focusing. No. Now we've reached sort of like a body weight set point, a point where my body's kind of comfortable. Now's where the discomfort comes in. Everything going forward, getting into the low 180s, the high 170s, and especially the low 170s, that is where it progressively takes more and more effort, and that is what I wanted to show you guys. That was a warm-up, but today's where the fun begins. Okay guys, the first thing that I'm gonna be doing very differently this year is this is going to be, or at least it's expected to be, a much faster rate of fat loss than I have done in previous years. And this is actually something which I gotta be honest, a lot of people, myself included, have actually at times been fairly outspoken against. You know, I have talked in previous videos, and I'm not trying to be a hypocrite, like I fully admit that. Essentially, the fear is that the greater calorie deficit and the greater overall dietary like stress on your body is gonna take a bigger toll on your mind, and most importantly on your body in terms of things like strength and muscle loss. However, there is still a big reason for why I want to do that. But first, I want to show you guys, actually, what am I talking about? Yo, how fast do I really mean? So taking as an example, to be consistent, because I mentioned earlier in the video, 2015 as a very successful competition prep. My starting weight, so I'm just going to call this weight 1, was approximately 191 pounds. And then I weighed at the end, as I mentioned earlier, this is the lowest that I've weighed in like 10 years or more. I came in at 169.8 pounds, but in this case I'll just round it up and say 170 pounds. So this comes out to a total of 21 pounds of weight loss. And if I actually look at the total number of weigh-ins, the total number of days, this one took me a grand total 21 weeks on the dot. All of this comes out to 1 pound, really? Every fucking time per week in fat loss. Now, jumping forward to present day, my starting weight, actually, yeah, it's very similar. It's around 190 pounds, give or take. That's kind of like where I'm fluctuating around. And let's say my goal is to get to 170 pounds. To be honest, it probably should be a little bit higher because obviously since 2015, hopefully I've at least gained a few pounds of actual muscle. That being said, this year I really do want to hit that 170. Not just 175 or 174, I really want to get to 170 because I want to be the leanest that I have ever been. And this time around, like I said, I'm doing this 90 days. That's it, 90 days, just over, you know, it's like 12.5 weeks. If you do the math, in this case, it actually, what the f***? This comes out to approximately 1.66, screw it, 1.6, which is actually a 60% increase in the speed of fat loss. Now you guys might be saying, Igor, okay, like why are you doing that? Are you kind of starting a little late? Why did you give yourself only 90 days? That isn't really a lot of time. And there's actually a big reason. One of the things I learned in 2017, I gotta be honest, I kind of learned it the hard way. 2017 was such a long cut because it wasn't just for a competition, it was because I was in Australia and I wanted to look good on the beach and look good for Instagram. And I'm like, listen, it's 25 degrees outside every day. I'm on the beach 7 times a week. I gotta look good. I gotta get that 6-pack going. I was pretty much in some form of calorie deficit or competition prep, whatever, for like 7 months. It was a very slow rate of fat loss when you actually look at the overall average. Even though the overall day-to-day rate of fat loss was low, the cumulative like stress on not just my body, but like your psychology, it's a lot. It's almost like the way of thinking like, would you rather be just punched in the face once? Or like, you know how they say like death by a million paper cuts? Yeah, it's kind of like that. And to be honest, this kind of made me rethink my whole process because I thought the slower the better. Fuck it, I'll competition prep very slowly or diet down for 6 months. But now that I'm thinking about it, who the fuck wants to be dieting for 6 months? I mean, I would much rather go kind of hard for 3 or 4 months, get to my goal, and then just maintain for a few months and be happy with what I've done. So essentially, guys, I gotta be honest, there is a little bit of a risk involved because this is something new, but I am excited. And yeah, again, yeah, it is a little risky because maybe I'll figure out like in a month or two, like, shit, it's too fast, it's too hard, I can't do it, I gotta slow it down. But I don't think that's gonna be the case. I'm fairly confident in that. I think it's gonna be good. And this brings me to what is probably the biggest change to my overall competition prep strategy for this year in comparison to previous years. I'm going to be primarily focusing on a high-fat, low-carb, strict intermittent fasting approach, nutritional approach this year. Essentially, not just focusing on calories in versus calories out, but bringing in the insulin-based model of weight loss. Now, to some of you guys, this may ring a bell because I actually did a full video and a little bit of a mini series about this way back in, let's take a little bit of a trip down memory lane back to around spring of 2018. I did like a few episodes, like a little almost a limited mini series of something which I call the experiment. Essentially, just to summarize, a lot of people out there, the standard, myself included, have always believed that fat loss and weight gain, weight loss, everything in general is simply put an energy balance system. Essentially, it's just calories in versus calories out. Obviously, you want to prioritize healthy foods and protein to maintain and potentially even build muscle mass. But that being said, things like where your food is coming from, carbs, fats, it doesn't necessarily matter. Now, this is in direct opposition to what some people theorize, inability to lose fat and chronic issues with weight gain and obesity, even in some cases, are due to hormonal dysregulation problem, specifically regarding the insulin hormone. Now, I don't want to get too much into this because essentially I'm just going to rehash what I talked about in those previous videos. And if you guys want a full in-depth, informational video where I do a full breakdown, make sure to go check out that video. It's experiment number 1. I believe the video is called like the secret diet or insulin model of weight loss or something, whatever. I'm going to leave a link to that video down in the description box below. But just to give a quick summary, essentially insulin is a hormone in the human body. It's an anabolic hormone, and it signals to your body when you consume food, especially when you consume carbohydrates, especially when it's refined processed carbohydrates or sugars. It essentially signals to your body, holy crap, all this food's coming in, we gotta take it, break it down, metabolize it, and then send it along the bloodstream to wherever it needs to go, such as muscle cells or fat cells. Essentially, take food, break it down, send it into fat cells if you're consuming too much food, and then the fat cells, kind of like balloons, they swell up, and that's why you essentially gain weight. Or on the flip side, if you're trying to lose weight, these frequent and high insulin spikes, at least according to this theory, are going to make it much more difficult to lose body fat. And to make matters even worse, at least according to this theory, there is a belief that higher and more frequent secretion of insulin is actually going to inhibit another hormone in the human body called leptin. Leptin being a hormone which is responsible for telling your body essentially that it's full. It's kind of like a satiating hormone which actually decreases levels of hunger. It's kind of like this chain of events. A leads to B, B leads to C, and in this case C is hunger, and that's not good on a competition prep. But the problem is all of this, and as I keep on saying, it's theory, it's all just theoretical. It's just a clusterfuck, and that's what I really kind of got annoyed with. And I decided, you know what, with that little mini experiment that I did, I kind of dieted down for about a month and a half, I'm gonna test this out and see for myself, is it better, is it easier, what the hell is actually going on? And a pretty good way of summarizing this is this Instagram post that I put up, I believe around a year ago, and I looked pretty damn good. Not as lean as I have been in the past. Again, that wasn't a legit competition prep. I just lost a few pounds in the summer to look and feel a little bit healthier. But as I kind of talked about in the post, it went pretty damn well. But not for the reason that you guys may think. I actually did not lose weight when I was doing that little experiment at a faster rate than I have ever done in the past. In fact, it was pretty average. So you guys may be wondering, okay, well, if that's the case, why are you doing it this time? This is not the time to fuck around and choose some other diet, especially if you know from personal experience that it doesn't really do anything. Well, because quantitatively it doesn't do anything, but in terms of how I felt, yeah, it actually kind of did. So one thing that I actually did is on a daily basis, from a score of 1 to 5, I track things like energy, mood, and hunger, both in the morning and in the evening. Essentially, the goal was to determine not just how much fat I'm losing, but how difficult this is, especially from a mental standpoint. And what I discovered was interesting because in the first 1 to 2 weeks, it was pretty difficult. On many days, the average on a week-to-week basis was usually moderate hunger in the mornings and pretty decent, pretty significant hunger in the evenings, especially because as my body was adjusting to not consuming anywhere near as many carbohydrates. I mean, in the past, I would rarely go below 200 grams of carbs, whereas now I was like, boom, eating like maybe 100, 120 grams of carbs on a daily basis. I used to kind of eat like, it was always kind of standard, 30% of my calories coming from protein, 25-ish% of my calories coming from fats, and the remaining 45-50% of my calories coming in from carbs. So moderate-ish fat, high carb, moderate protein, whereas this time it was pretty much protein's the same, carbs are coming all the way down to around 30%, and then the remaining calories, which is around 40%, would go into fat. I mean, I was eating well over 100 grams of fat on a daily basis, and my carbs were as low as, again, like 100, maybe 120, around there. And my hunger levels in the beginning were kind of bad, but 3, 4, 5 weeks in, it was like I just got on autopilot. I mean, it got to a point where every single day, my morning hunger levels was always at least a 1 or a 2 at the very most, which is like, no, I don't even want to eat. I'm not even hungry at all. Food hasn't even crossed my mind. And in the evening, it maybe would be like at like a 2 or a 3, which is something I have, to be honest, experienced great difficulty with in the past. And that's what I'm really interested in trying out this time. Doing meals which are very, highly based on protein, fats probably found in the actual protein sources. Again, fish, steak, different cuts of chicken. Relying really a lot less on carbohydrates, definitely cutting my sugar intake to less than half of what it has been in previous years. The majority of my carbohydrates coming from fruits, vegetables, and maybe some starchy sources of things like sweet potatoes. No rice, no pasta, no breads, not really much of that at all. Really trying to keep my carbohydrates at or around 120 grams, if not less, ideally. I'm not completely at all throwing the whole calories in versus calories out energy balance model of phallus out the window. Absolutely not. But this insulin thing, it is kind of interesting. I got a taste of it in 2018. I liked it, and I'm excited to try it, in the real thing this time around. So guys, number 3 on the list of things we're gonna be doing. It went in my mouth. Number 3 on list of things I want to be doing differently this time around is going to be, this might seem a little weird, but it's going to be related to activity level and general energy balance. What I am talking about is simultaneously consuming and burning more calories. So let me pose kind of a little bit of a question to you guys before I even get into more of this. Let's say you take an individual who has, like in my case, for example, I maintain my body size at 2,500 calories. That's kind of like, if I consume that, I'm not getting bigger, I'm not getting smaller. If I, do that and I don't really add any, activity level on top of that, is that going to give me overall the same result as option B? What if on a daily basis I eat 500 calories more, but simultaneously I burn off 500 calories more via additional activity level, where it be, at the gym, or sprinting, which I started really getting into last summer and want to continue doing so this summer. General, just doing maybe a bit more cardio, jogging, running. And obviously this year, over the last few months, I really got into rock climbing, which, some people may not necessarily think it burns a lot of calories, but after like 60 minutes, I'm pretty sure I probably go through at least a solid 300 to 400 calories in a single rock climbing session. And these days, I'm probably doing anywhere from 3, maybe even as high as 4 sessions per week. To be honest, I'm getting a little bit addicted. So just in general, if you take 2 individuals who at the end of the day have the same net energy balance, calories in versus calories out, except one individual, the calories in, calories out is higher, are you going to end up with the exact same physique, or maybe is there going to be a difference? And this actually leads me into kind of a little bit of a theory. This is something which some people refer to as essentially G-Flux. If you guys want a really good in-depth video specifically on this topic, I'm going to leave a link in the description box below and throw it up on screen right now. This is a video done by Omar Iself multiple years ago. This is actually one of the first times I ever heard about this concept. Essentially, if you take a person who, you know, consumes and burns 2,500 calories, he or she, according to this theory, would have not as good of a body composition as if they consumed and burned simultaneously 3,000 calories, despite the fact that in both of these cases, the actual net balance, the net energy balance, is zero. Now, this kind of might not make much sense, and to be honest, even to me, it's a little bit confusing because it shouldn't necessarily matter because the energy balance is the same in both these cases, just how you get that energy balance is different. But nonetheless, I have in the past, I kind of have experienced an additional overall superior body composition in terms of like the ability to lose body fat when I have been doing this. And that's one thing I'm going to be doing this year. But fuck it, maybe I'm wrong and maybe this makes absolutely no difference and my body is going to be the exact same regardless of whether the calorie deficit is coming from mostly nutrition or a combo of nutrition and exercise and activity level and all of this stuff. And even if that's the case, that's okay. Because just by being more active, especially kind of these like hard, intense, athletic cardiovascular things like climbing and running and sprinting, as opposed to just like 3 sets of 10 on the bench press, which don't get me wrong, I love it, but it's not exactly the most, you know, endurance demanding of physical activities. It's a lot of power, it's a lot of explosiveness, it's a lot of strength, but it's not exactly, you know, when I'm in the gym, my heart rate doesn't even get past like, what, 120? Whereas when I'm sprinting and climbing, yeah, it's going like a mile a minute. Just doing that is going to make me a more healthy and athletically inclined person, and that's something which over the last few years I really have been getting into. And if I can achieve just that, then it's still worth it. And then the, you know, potentially superior body composition is just the cherry on top. Alright guys, time to end this vlog, and we're doing so on a bit of a high note. It's 1 in the morning, everybody out here is asleep but me? Nah, your boy is putting in the work. Why? Because it's motherfucking competition prep time. I'm out here burning the calories, getting the cardio in. We got less than 90 days, now's the time to put in the fucking work. Let's do it. Otherwise known as I have to walk my dog. Either way guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I appreciate each and every one of you. Also, I gotta apologize. I personally, trust me, I know. Sometimes it's annoying when you watch a video or a vlog or something and the footage you're watching is like one day and then it's uploaded like a week, or in my case 2 later. It's kind of like, yeah. But some of the clips in this video, like, it took me like 4 attempts to refilm them and I wanted to get it just right. So also, last thing I want to mention, I actually am doing an Instagram Q&A. So if you guys have any questions for me, go submit them on my most recent Instagram post and I'll try to answer as many questions as I can in the next video, or the next video. I haven't decided when. I don't know, it's late, I'm done. As always, thank you so much for watching and I'll see you in the next one.